other
place?
places.
What is the other place?
The mountainside.
Well, that's not what I mean, though. I mean, like, the actual where people are is an airport and a castle. That was it.
There's that Christmas market.
Where? What? No, that was at the castle.
Was that at the castle?
Yes, the orphans were at the castle. It was a charity event, like at the castle.
Huh.
There was an airport and a castle. Apparently, you need a taxi to get there, which is nuts. This is a tiny micronation that's got to be like maybe 5 football fields wide maximum in the Austrian Alps.
Wow.
Well, we can debate on where it is, but anyway.
Greetings, salutations, and welcome to the Kreeger Cast. I'm your host, Patrick Kreeger, and I'm joined once again
by Steven.
Indeed, I am. Today we are starting our 12 days of Christmas, down from 25. I figured 12 was a small enough number to be manageable, but a large enough number to put some pressure
and it's
on
still
it.
festive.
And it's still festive. So for the next 11 days, you'll be treated to some sort of Christmas-themed Kreeger Cast. I hope you will bear with us. So, today, Stephen and I watched a movie. We watched The Christmas Prince, which is a Netflix original film.
Sorry, slight correction. It's actually A Christmas Prince, I have found out. That's the actual title.
Snap.
Yeah.
Yes. So, you'll be reading to us the description from IMDb, because this was your movie.
Yes, it is. So, full disclosure, I am the one who selected to watch this movie, and a couple others for the 12... Should we spoil what they are?
I mean, I think we must.
We're going to watch all the Christmas Prince movies on Netflix. Watching Christmas Prince, we're going to be watching the Royal Wedding, and then the third one, which comes out on December 5th of this year, is called The Royal Baby. So that'll be exciting too. But anyway, the first one, A Christmas Prince. When a reporter goes undercover as a tutor to get the inside scoop on a playboy prince, she gets tangled in some royal intrigue and ends up finding love. But will she be able to keep her lie? Question mark. Ooh.
That's really the only description.
That's really the only description, which is not even an accurate one, but that's okay.
So watch, don't watch.
100% watch. It was a joy. I had a great time. So the IMDb rating is 5.7, which is a travesty.
Out of how many?
Yeah, out of 10.
Oh.
IMDb does it out of 10. It's the user ratings. 5.7. It's
Really?
ridiculous. This movie is delightful for a lot of reasons that we're going to get into.
I too will parrot Stephen here and say that it is definitely a watch. I would argue that this is the best Christmas film I've seen this year.
Probably true. It's the only Christmas film I watched this year so far, and it was the best one.
I've seen 2 others this year, so.
All right.
But no, seriously,
it's
a fantastic little Christmas film. You know what you're getting yourself into.
It's a Hallmark movie with slightly better production and like actual real actors in it. And I almost said, I guess it's kind of shot better. It's not particularly. Patrick seems to think it's shot better. I'm not convinced of that. And it's slightly more risque than the Hallmark movie.
Yes.
And there's just more innuendos. Nothing else really that.
It
doesn't rise above PG-13.
Well, no, it is PG.
Doesn't rise above PG. I stand corrected.
But here's the interesting thing about it. I would describe it as a spicy Hallmark film. Like, if the Hallmark Channel could make a film with a little bit better budget, and let their directors run a little free. So I don't know how many of you watch Hallmark Christmas films, Stephen?
No.
Okay, so one of the big things
I've seen some. I don't watch them.
One of the big things about the Hallmark Christmas films is that you're supposed to feel good all the way through. So there is, a little bit of a tension, but they break that tension real early on. They don't give you a full release.
Well, there's always like some kind of, second act problem, like there is in this one. But
yes.
that brings you down a little bit. But I guess in your mind, it's going to work out.
But that's what I mean is like they set the seeds that it's going to work out real early on, and they did that in this film too. So we're going to get into spoilers now.
Yeah, spoilers for The Christmas Prince. Honestly, I think you'll enjoy it even if it is spoiled. I don't think it really matters that much.
Yeah, we both, well, at least I went into it having recently watched Jenny Nicholson's videos on The Christmas Prince.
I've seen that video, but it was many months ago, so I don't remember a lot of what she talked about, but it is a good video.
I think I watched it maybe 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm. After you're done listening to this and the other movies, then go watch that. But listen to this first.
There will be a link in the dibbly-doo.
Sure, dibbly-doo. Why not? Sounds like some malarkey. Oh, topical humor.
I actually don't get how that's topical.
That's all right. People will know.
Snap. Anyway, so let's get into this film. We start off by meeting our leading lady.
Yes, Amber, the character Amber, played by Rose McIver, who is most famous, I would assume, from her role in iZombie, where she is the main character, a show that I have not seen. I have heard it's good, and I don't believe that. From like the previews, but you know, it's a show. It's fairly successful, so good for her. I don't think she's particularly good in this movie, but you know, that's fine. We don't want to talk about that anymore.
Well, I thought
a little bit. She makes the same face for the entire movie. It's kind of irritating me.
I thought she was better than Jenny Nicholson led me to believe.
I don't remember what Jenny said about it, but if Jenny said she was bad, I'm gonna have to agree with her. She's one note.
So I think that a lot of Nicholson's complaints, or not complaints, because she seemed to thoroughly enjoy the films, but like the things she brought up, I think they're mostly from the second film, because she mentioned a lot of stuff that I didn't notice in this film, and so my bet is it comes up in the sequel.
Probably, yeah.
But anyway, I liked her. I thought she was all right. She was happy-go-lucky, sort of like.
Kind of. So that's where we're gonna get to the start of this, because opening shot of this movie. Stock footage in New York. Already starting on a bad note. I'm just going to say it.
Hey.
Already a bad... If you open your movie with stock footage, it's a bad sign. Usually. Unless there's a real point to it, but that's rare. Then we have the following problem. Is we're introduced to Amber. She is not the first character we see. She is not center frame when she first shows up. She's in a weird off... I think she was on the right side.
Yeah.
Either way, it was a very strange way to introduce your main character.
Much like Aladdin in the new remake that Disney did.
Haven't seen it, but sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I had no intention of watching that. But anyway, so that was like already a little weird. Then, you know, pretty standard, you know, plucky young reporter. Oh, just can't get her big break. And she's got her gay friend and her ethnic friend who are going to lay out exposition in the first 5 minutes. And they do. She's, you know, broke up with some dude a year before. And now she's just a junior editor and she's got a blog. And it's very by the numbers, but at least it gets it out of the way early and quickly. And I appreciate that part of it. Just, everything's established right up front. There is no even attempt to fool you. Which I appreciate the sincerity. I don't know about you, Patrick.
Did you want to actually mention the graphic design for her website?
Well, for the magazine's website, what was it called? Beat Now or something? Or Now Beat?
It's either Now
it's
Beat
kind
or
of sexual,
Beat Now.
honestly.
But a lot of the film actually is.
Yeah, but specifically the word Beat Now, or words. But anyway, the graphic design is just the worst thing I've ever seen. They did not hire a real graphic designer to make their fake graphics. They just had some intern at the production company do it in like an hour.
It's really,
on like Wix or something.
Oh, hey.
Actually, I take that back. Wix probably would have looked better.
It would.
It was just abysmal. It was like a collage graphic thing. Like someone just threw up all these gaudy colors onto a screen. It was gnarly.
It was pretty bad.
Yeah. And we do get the first run-ins of the soundtrack, which will be tame and by the numbers the entire movie.
I didn't notice it had a soundtrack except for one scene.
It did.
Wow.
Didn't go throughout the entire movie necessarily, but it was there. But it was soft. It was unobtrusive.
Clearly.
It had the right cues. It's probably stock music, but whatever. It's fine. And you don't need to get Hans Zimmer to do A Christmas Prince. I would have loved it if he did.
Well, maybe that's in the fourth film.
That would be so great. Oh, the Royal Coup? That's going to be awesome. I'm going to love that movie.
I do also want to point out to our dear listening audience that we're recording this a couple days after Thanksgiving, so you may notice some of our old friends are back. I have 3 clocks running in the background that are going to go off at different times, and I apologize for that.
I mean, you could just cut that out like a professional, but fine.
Well, I mean, they're gonna show up, so I wanted to admit to the audience that I wound my clocks for the guests.
He just doesn't want to edit.
This is gonna be edited.
He just doesn't want to edit. The weirdest. So, first thing he says to me when we start this, when we sat down, was he was like, "So we're gonna talk about the movies of this," and then he brings out the knife, and he has it pointing right at my chest, and honestly, he put it. It's like at a slight elevated position, like it would hit me right in the groin. And I'm pretty sure that's intentional. And I don't appreciate being threatened, especially since I do this willingly. I volunteer my own time to help him with his podcast. And here he is, threatening with knives, making me watch A Christmas Prince while I wanted to watch it. But that's not the point.
Dear listener, you do know that is all in jest.
It's not threatening me.
Anyway, so back to the topic at hand. We're introduced to Amber, and she is being talked to. I just
realized we should clarify. Never mind, I already did it earlier. Edit that part out. Yes. So, yeah, she's talking to her friends and then has to go talk to her editor, who's some lady, I guess. I don't think they ever said her name. Did they?
They might have.
Oh, I think it was Meg or something.
But she's the head of the magazine.
Yeah, you go talk to the head of the magazine, whatever. And she's like, we need someone to cover the royal family of Aldovia. And trust me, folks, we're going to get into some heavy stuff about Aldovia later.
Yeah, we have our own little conspiracy
theory. We have our own theories going on here about Aldovia. We'll get into that later. But point is, she has to go cover Aldovia, specifically the royal family, because the king had died a year prior. And on Christmas Day, I think, which is pretty sad. Yeah. That's pretty heavy. Had died on Christmas Day before, because it's almost Christmas. That's why it's hence a Christmas Prince.
They have the interregnum, which has to be a year.
Yes, apparently by Aldovian law, the interregnum is a year long maximum. But the prince...
They never state, though, that as far as I could tell, that the father died on Christmas Day. It's just implied.
Yeah, pretty much. It's implied it has to be done by Christmas, which means that he died on Christmas. Which, I mean, it would be thematically fitting.
Well, especially
in both ways, But anyway, we'll get there. So, it's to cover the interregnum, because the prince, who is supposed to take over, has been gone the entire time. He has not been in country. He's been out gallivanting around, because he is a rich playboy.
He left before the father died.
Yeah, just prior.
Yeah.
They did not up that at all into like a suspicious kind of thing, which would have been interesting, but it's not that kind of movie. I would have played it that way. But anyway, he left before the father died, and he's a weirdo playboy, and they need to be there in case he doesn't show up and to see what happens then. Or if he does, and does he abdicate? Does he take over? What happens? That whole deal. And she doesn't have any of her real reporters to go, so she's going to send the, junior editor intern, basically. That happens to be our dear Amber.
So she goes and talks with her dad.
She talks to her dad. Her dad apparently owns a coffee shop or diner thing, whatever it is.
It's a diner.
Oh, it was a diner. That's right. It was a diner.
Named after his wife. They talk about how her mom's dead.
Yes, this is more exposition from her pops.
And
talks about all that jazz.
She has this whole thing about her mom liking 5-alarm chili, which I believe will come back later.
Does it?
I think it
comes back. Did that come back?
It comes back in the sequel, I'm pretty certain.
All right, cool. Anyway, so I don't know. I don't remember that. But
they have this grand cinematic universe. I'm actually convinced of that now.
I'm curious to see how deep the rabbit hole goes. But point is, so she's off. She goes flying over to Aldovia. Now, where is Aldovia? Not really sure. It's somewhere in Europe. We'll get there. We'll talk about that eventually.
Indeed.
Anyway. She arrives at the Aldovian airport, and it's totally a real airport. It's not just some other building that they slapped some signs in front of and made sure that the frame was small so you couldn't see anything around it.
Oh my gosh, the snow in this film.
Oh yeah, so there's a lot of snow, and it's all very fake and bad looking.
It's very bad.
Anyway. So she goes to get a taxi, which she's with a bunch of other press people, a whole bunch of press people there to cover the same thing. Goes to get in a taxi, and some jerk gets in front of her and takes the taxi. And she's like, "Hey, what are you doing, you selfish jerk?" And he's like, "Sorry."
No, he barely just glares at her.
I'm pretty sure he says something like "sorry" or something like that. It doesn't even matter. Gets in there, some bearded, homeless-looking guy slams the door in the taxi, and taxi drives away, and she's left there and has to get another taxi. It's so horrible. But it was rude. It was rude. Let's be fair. Arrives at the castle. Kind of nice-looking castle. It's a nice-looking castle.
Great product placement for Mercedes along the way.
There was a lot of good product placement for Mercedes along the way, and there's going to be some more later. But it was co-starring. This movie was co-starring Mercedes and Apple.
Yes.
Apple products make a very prominent feature many times. Arrives at the castle. It is a real castle. It is apparently called a Pelas Castle or something. I don't know how you pronounce it. It's in Romania. Nice-looking castle, built in the 1800s. Anyway,
I took a swing and a miss saying that it was in Germany by the architecture, but
it has it's whatever. It's a castle. It's more of like a manor house palace type thing than a castle, but it's called a castle.
I think technically you would call it a Schloss.
Sure.
I actually, for another time, dear audience, I really want to get into like a deep-seated thing on the differences between American and German words for castle, because it's fascinating to me.
Right. Well, we're not going to... This isn't an ASMR podcast. So we're not trying to put people to sleep. So let's talk about Christmas Prince some more.
Okay.
She arrives at this nice palace area thing. And this is going to be... I want to bring this up now, because while we're talking about the palace and the airport... Well, more of the palace, really. Not really the airport. It was just kind of funny. The palace has maybe 3 rooms we see in the entire thing. Well, like 3 rooms in a hallway.
There's like the press room.
That's true. I guess there was a press room once.
There's the press room.
There's a press room apparently.
Hallway that she with the
there's a long hall. Yeah, there's a long hallway.
There's the staircase. There's 2 staircases.
Okay, you're right. So there's 2 staircases.
The music room.
What is there? There's the music room, which is very prominent throughout the movie.
The library.
And her bedroom.
Her bedroom. Is that it?
That was it.
The kitchen. Because they make the cookies. And the study room.
I'm not convinced that kitchen was actually part of the castle, but...
Oh, well, I'm just talking about... Yeah.
I think the study room was also supposed to be the library, because they were using it interchangeably.
Okay.
Because there's a part where she says, "I'll meet you in the library," and then they're in the study. But she goes to the same library. Anyway. The real castle is like a museum, so I think they only got like a small section of it was actually open to film. So it makes the castle feel very small, weirdly enough.
Yeah, but the castle looks small from the outside.
Small-ish, but it's pretty big. I mean, it was whatever. Anyway, it's just odd, and actually, the whole movie's kind of claustrophobic.
Yes, but I think it uses it to its advantage.
How so?
Dear audience, you can't tell this, but Stephen just got very inquisitive, as if he's really hoping that I'll defend that point.
I am.
Okay.
Please.
So I think that even though I think you're going to say that our actors are very expressionless or emotionless.
No, just the main one.
Oh. Well, I personally like all the close-ups of the face.
Just the most important actor.
No, I thought she was fine. I like the close-ups. It works.
I mean, the close-ups are what they were doing because, you know, it's easier. It's just easier to do, and you don't have to like organize a scene in a frame if you just do close-ups.
I was gonna say, how many times are there actually like extras in the background doing things?
There's at least a decent amount of times.
A few times. Yeah. Okay.
Not a whole lot. Not for all the like most important scenes, with the exception of the end, but. Like, you know, that's they put all the money for extras went into the last 2 scenes, really.
The dance.
The dance and the coronation thing.
And that one market.
What market? What are you talking? Oh, I guess you're right. Sorry, the market for the orphans. Yes, you're right, Patrick. At the orphan market, there was a lot of extras. Anyway, so then we get introduced to many other characters that are going to be in this. I'm forgetting the term for it, but like the person who runs the
actual woman who runs
the woman who
place.
basically runs like all the stuff for the royal family. Why am I forgetting that term? Whatever. Anyway, point is, she's doing all this. You meet her. She's kind of a bitch. It's just true. And going through all this, blah 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 blah. Then we get to meet the queen, the Queen Dowager, played by Alice Kreeg. Now, Patrick, you know Alice Kreeg from something else very prominent.
Oh no.
You do. Do you know what that was?
Oh,
Do you know what for you personally she would be most famous as?
Why do I know her?
Oh, you do. I'll give you a little hint.
Okay.
She had a very interesting and somewhat sensually charged interaction with Mr. Captain Jean-Luc Picard.
I was gonna say, is she the Borg Queen?
Yes. This is the Borg Queen.
That's where I know
She's
her from.
the Borg Queen, and must be prior to her transformation. So she was Queen of Eldovia, and then she got turned. into
that's
the
in
Borg
the same cinematic
It is
universe?
now. It is now. Now that information's out there, yes.
Yes, we do meet her, and her character's a
Actually, I realized I fast forwarded a bit. I fast forward
Yeah.
all the boring parts in between that. Sorry, there's a press conference. I'm just gonna fast forward. Press conference goes badly. She sneaks back into the castle and is mistaken for the American tutor being sent for the princess. And then she runs with this lie to get the scoop, which was kind of mentioned in the IMDb thing. That's when she meets the queen.
Which I made the point to Steven when this happened. I said, I don't like this. Because now I'm going to have this knot in my stomach the rest of the film. Because you just know.
This whole thing's going to come out and unravel. It's true.
And I don't want that in my happy-go-lucky Christmas films.
I kind of know what you mean. But, so that's where we get the introduction to the queen, the princess, and the prince. Who, guess what, was that jerk at the airport. Oh!
And I love that they comment on his beard.
His beard was super bad and fake looking. It was really bad.
Which I thought was the point. I thought the whole point was that he was undercover.
I thought it was supposed to be that, but it turns out it was actually supposed to be a real beard, which is dumb. It was really dumb. That was an easy decision to make. Anyway, Prince, played by Ben Lamb.
Wham?
Ben Lamb, Patrick. And he is, from reading his little filmography here.
Isn't Wham the band that does Last Christmas?
I think so. I don't know. I'm not that super familiar with Wham, but not that though. He's Lamb, like a little, like a little baby sheep. Anyway, he's probably most famous for the Divergent movies.
Okay.
Oh, and he was in Now You See Me Too. So maybe that's it. I don't know. I don't know anything about this guy. He's kind of weird looking. He's not like a...
He reminds me of someone who could make
you had to answer, sorry. Okay.
He reminds me of someone who could make a great Battlestar Galactica person. No.
Yeah, actually, I could see that because he's not bad looking. He's just kind of odd.
How so?
I don't like his face.
You didn't like either of our leads.
No. I mean, like, I don't think he's a better actor in this. Not that he had a whole lot to do, but he did do some okay, like, more subtle stuff. Like, there's a whole scene,
breakdown.
like that entire no. Before that, but like the entire scene when he's introduced to when she's introduced to the royal family as the tutor and is faking and uses a fake name and all this junk, which is amazing to me that no one checked her paperwork. But anyway,
They're very trusting people.
apparently so. The British royal family of Eldovia is very trusting, but it like the entire time he's just like eye fucking her, like when she's standing there, like he is undressing her with his eyes the whole time, and it fits his character, I guess.
Well, yes, at that point we're supposed to think of him as this sleazy, like you said, playboy. Because that's what the entire world thinks he is.
Which it would have actually made more sense for the rest of the movie if he wasn't acting like that, but whatever.
I know.
It doesn't matter. Point is, like, there was at least something going on there. But I just mean him, like, his face as a person, as a human being, It's just off-putting to me. I don't like it. Like I said, he doesn't look bad or like ugly. It's just something unsettling. I don't know. It's probably just me. I don't know. Anyway, whatever. People seem to treat him like he's handsome, and I just don't believe it. So she's now ingratiated herself with the royal family very smoothly. Not smoothly at all, but she's there.
Oh, it was so awkward and clunky.
It's weird, and so she has to have her bonding scene with the little girl. Yeah, because the princess is a little girl. She's like, I don't know, 10 or 11 or something, or maybe even 12. And she's got spinal bifida. She can't walk, all right? That's the deal.
I believe that in.
Yeah, that's fine. Leave it in. I don't care. Anyway, can't walk. So she's in like a wheelchair and then wheeling around, and that's the thing. But she bonds with her really quickly in like a day, I guess. Because it's supposed to be like a week before Christmas or something. 2 weeks. 2 weeks before Christmas. / the end of the interregnum. So she bonds with them, and then she's getting to know the prince, and she keeps many times there was many scenes of walking to the music room and staring at people through the door, and they had notice no one in this country has peripheral vision. And I don't think it's just the people in the country, it's like just being in the country does it, because Amber doesn't either.
No, and nor do like any of the wait staff.
No. It doesn't exist. There's like some kind of field over this country where you just, or they all just pretend not to see things.
That's what I thought was actually going on.
Really creepy too.
One woman.
Really creepy. So she spies the prince. He plays the piano, so that's how you know he's deep. And he's.
Was that really what that was supposed to imply?
Yeah. Absolutely, that's what it implies. Men, if you want to impress a lady and make them think you're deep, just play a musical instrument.
Really?
Absolutely.
I don't believe that.
It's mostly true. Not guitar, because the problem is no one likes that douchebag who plays Wonderwall on the acoustic over and over again in the hallway. Fuck that guy.
I do actually.
You feel like you're going to be like you have no frame of reference for this. Trust me, it's totally true.
I mean, I have actually felt that way many a time when people play guitar in places. That's why I was confused when you're like, play a musical instrument.
Yeah, not guitar, not acoustic guitar like that. Don't be that kind of douchebag. But you want to play piano. You know, chicks like piano. What else do they like? Bassoon. There's I don't know. I don't feel like trumpet will work. I don't think accordion doesn't usually work. I feel like violin sort of works, but not really. I don't know. I play the violin, but it's never like come up of like, oh, I'm gonna play a song for you, my lady. It just doesn't. I don't know. Because the problem is the violin is it's hard to transport. I mean, so is a piano, but you can just sit down at a piano and just like do 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 do. But you got nothing on the violin. You gotta like kick it out. You look all stupid.
I love that I didn't go on my whole spiel about Berg versus Schloss versus Castle versus Palace.
Yeah, no, I gotta talk about music instruments now. And how you use them to pick up chicks.
There's a harp in there.
If there's any ladies listening to this, and God knows there isn't, please leave comments.
Wow.
Please leave a comment about what musical instruments you think are like attractive and that attract you to a guy. What is not necessarily sexy, but at least like, oh yes, like they... devoted. Is it just like a passion? Like they have a hobby, a passion? Is it like that what it is? Is it actually the instrument itself? Is there a lady who sees an accordion and is like, yes, I'm totally in there? Absolutely.
So that's actually what I thought they were trying to get across, was that he has hobbies. Not that he's like this deep brooding,
I don't think brooding, but... Because he was playing Christmas music. You can't sound brooding when you're playing Christmas music, unless it's like Grandma got run over by a reindeer, I guess. But
I suppose you could.
Maybe if you played like one of those Christmas songs on like bass or something, or like a really deep notes, it probably could sound pretty scary. Actually, yeah, that could happen.
But
anyway.
My point was that I didn't think there was supposed to be anything supposed to be magical. I just thought they kind of had access to this room, so they're like, "What is he going to be doing? That's a hobby in this room."
Yeah, that's probably true. We never actually see anyone physically playing the piano. Well, they're always behind the thing. You don't actually see their hands, as far as I can tell.
I don't remember, but they do try to build up that this prince has hobbies, His hobbies are piano, living on the beach, and archery.
Yeah. There is a comical scene of archery because you see Amber what's the character flaw of our bland whatever girl? Oh, she's clumsy. So she like breaks a vase in the middle of the thing, which by the way, if it was really a Ming vase, like they said, you're fired immediately. But whatever. So she breaks a vase and accidentally shoots an arrow through a window. It hits
Into
a
a painting.
assuming at least somewhat pricey painting. I don't know, maybe not, but apparently Shammer can just do whatever. It doesn't matter. He just wants to run roughshod over the royal family, his common wench.
Well, the prince fell in love with her almost
That's later, though.
instantaneously.
Well, no, he wasn't in love with her at first. He just thought she was a hot commoner who could bed.
I don't think that's true because we've developed that the prince's character is deeper than that.
They try to imply that he's on the level, but I think he had ill intentions from the start. He is intended to dishonor her, but then fell in love.
I would like to think better of our Christmas prince.
I don't. But I was also, for a while there, it felt like a horror movie with the little girl and stuff. Because it's a creepy little British girl. And that's never good. Don't have British children. If you can help it, don't have British children, people.
Yes, and actually the film does turn into a horror movie later. For a brief moment.
Kind of, yeah.
No, that was the one time
I know what you mean. Yeah. I kind of agree with you. It was a little bit of a horror movie. Yeah, sure.
So anyway, you're keeping us on track here.
Yeah, let me keep you on track. So a couple things I wrote here for notes. We have the princely shenanigans, which kind of talked about a little bit because he's like throwing. Wait, what did he do? He did something that I got princely shenanigans. Oh, that was the car thing. That's right. That's what I wrote it for. The stealing the cab, princely shenanigans. And then I also I highlighted here relationship built on lies.
Yes.
So that's an important thing that we'll have to talk about because that is not a solid foundation for a relationship.
No.
This is bad romantic advice from A Christmas Prince on Netflix.
It actually, and like I said earlier, it really like put a knot in my gut for a big portion of the film.
Yeah. Also, her cover name when they thought she was saying is Martha. Why did you say that name? Anyway, joke out of the way. Oh yes, and I also wrote patriarchy because the princess cannot inherit the throne. It has to be a male line only. What is this in 2017 when this film takes place? That this country in the EU, and we do see for sure later that it is in the EU, has the audacity to be that patriarchal. Absurd. What is this? Nonsense. That's what it is.
And it's funny because they could have just as easily made the little kid a little boy and like avoided the subject entirely.
I think it adds some character to Moldova. One of the many things that does.
I suppose.
But anyway. And it makes more sense given what we've concluded about Moldova. But so after that, we get some it's just bonding scenes. I'm not going to go over every single one, but she gets closer to the royal family. That's mostly what you need to know.
Well, there is one thing I want to point out, and maybe I'm jumping the gun on this one.
Just go for it. I was going to get to a little bit of the next plot point, but go for it.
Well, the fact that the little girl does find out that Martha is not Martha.
Oh, I guess. It doesn't...
Well, that's what I wanted to bring back around to the Hallmark thing. They ease that tension real early on.
I see what you mean. Okay, yeah. Fair enough.
So very early on, she gets exposed to the little girl. And from then on, you can go, okay, so she has an ally in the royal family when this comes out.
Yes.
And I thought that was a really cool way to do it because there's still tension there, but there's not like, oh my God, she's going to go to prison.
The way out is there. Yeah. Fair enough. So
the opposite of the bomb
main
under the
plot
table.
point that I guess you're right. It's they have the I don't know what I almost said key, but it doesn't make sense because you said bomb. So I don't know the Hitler's
snippers.
table leg on the other side to block the blast. I don't know what it is. Anyway, that's a reference to the July plot, people. So, we get introduced to the two antagonists, sort of. I'll call them antagonists. The two antagonists of the film at this, nobility dinner thing, which there's about a dozen people there tops, which kind of makes sense. But we get to introduce to Count Simon and Duchess Sophia. Count Simon is the prince's cousin. We're never told who his parents are, but apparently there is a uncle or aunt
presumably
to
uncle
them, but they're not actually in the film. If it's male line, presumed, because theoretically this cousin is, as we were told by the princess, is second in line. That's when they're introduced to the concept of patriarchy. Anyway, so Count Simon and Duchess Sophia, and Duchess Sophia and the prince used to be an item. Ooh, scandalous. And let me tell you, Duchess Sophia she is a fine piece.
You know, I was about to give you a compliment, Stephen.
What?
Well, I was going to say, I wish our audience could see how emotive you're being right now. And then you say that
And then I say that, and anyway. And she's got a hot British accent. Not an annoying one, because there are annoying British accents, but she's got a hot one. She's this cute redhead. Very smoking hot red dress. It's wonderful.
I didn't like her character.
The character is not very deep or interesting.
Yeah.
But I'm not complimenting her character. So, anyway, I'm entitled to be as shallow about her as she is about everything else. And by she, I mean the character, not the actress, who I'm sure is a lovely person.
One can hope.
Or not. I don't know. Maybe she was at parties with Bryan Singer.
You're telling us the backstories of all these actors.
Well, they were less important, so I didn't bother looking them up.
Snap.
They're in the movie for she's a little more than Simon. Simon's in the movie for 5 minutes tops.
Well, that's true.
Yeah. So that's our antagonists, and they are going to be involved in the royal plot, usurpation plot.
Indeed.
Yes. Because, as we will soon discover, and by soon I mean 20 minutes more into the movie, 25? I don't know. One last thing. I wrote this down because I almost forgot to mention that Amber is giving updates to her two friends at the office periodically.
Oh, yes.
Yes. And it's not that interesting, except that one, apparently Aldovia has an incredible fiber connection.
Yeah.
Despite this being out in the mountains.
The quality of their internet connection is so good it makes your connection better.
Exactly. And on top of that, she's Skyping with them at an office, and they're just huddled in front of the computer. It's
with
so dumb.
State secrets being talked about.
Yeah, and there's people behind them who could totally hear this, and just no one's talking about it. They're just whatever. It's very strange. But gay best friend, I'm assuming he's best friend. He can just be gay friend. I don't know what these characters' names are because they're not important. But he says this, and it just gave me pause. Well, where there is a tiara, there is dirt.
I believe he even does add the "I should know."
He might have. I don't remember that.
He did.
If he did, that's even worse. I don't know what to make of that. I really don't. Were they trying to say he knows because he's gay? Were they trying to say he knows because he just likes pageantry, royal pageantry, because he knows tiara competition? I don't understand what that movie was trying to say. It was very weird. And it's a stupid line anyway, which adds insult to injury.
There are a lot of jokes throughout this film that are double entendres.
This is innuendo. The princess at one point jokes about, cutting off the prince's wang and stuff.
She does, doesn't she?
Yeah.
Which is really weird because then she switches it to ear. I don't get that joke at all.
Well, that was just her trying to say it, oh, I wasn't really trying to imply that they're going to cut off his wiener, but I mean, that's obviously what she meant, and the prince knew it.
Yeah, but that's not a...
That was just her dumb cover for Amber, because Amber's a stupid person, and she's like, hey, you shouldn't say something like that. And she's like, what? I meant his ear. Duh, stupid commoner.
Weird.
I don't know why you're that baffled. It was just that.
I'm bumfuzzled.
Yeah. You are pure bumfuzzled. You were confused. She takes notes on her computer, by the way, in Helvetica font.
Yes,
and
she does.
You made an audible noise when you saw that.
Yes,
So,
I guffawed.
I'm just why do you hate Helvetica font so much?
Because it's very art house to me. You know, like it's very like modern Europe from like the 60s trying to be cool. And I think it has no place in note-taking and no place in any sort of writing that isn't going for a particular style.
Hard stance against Helvetica font coming
really
in
do.
here.
So, like, I would argue that it's a typeface for things that are meant to be taken seriously. So, like, you know, art museums, signage. I could totally see it being used on high-quality cigarettes.
Okay.
Things that are trying to imply an air of snootiness. Times New Roman is the font of the people. And she should have been using something more along those lines.
Also want to add, her notes are terrible. They're just the worst. She had one thing that was like, it was like Prince's, I swear it said redundant, but I'm not actually sure if that's really what it said. And it said in big all caps, why? With like five question marks. And on top of that, because I'm sure they had to do this so the camera would see it, but her notes are in like 64 size font. It's absurd. Just incredible. So she has many more bonding sequences with the family, and he comes out toboggan, and the queen kind of warms up to her and all this blah blah blah. The Borg queen, gotta stress that. And then one day she well, I guess I could, because I don't remember exactly how these scenes played out in order. I guess, did Jay go out with the horses before Duchess Sophia tried to make a move, or was that after?
I think it was after.
They're kind of weaving together, but okay.
But the point is that he goes out on a horse, and Amber wants to follow.
Yes. So she does. She, despite having never been on a horse, apparently, except outside Central Park, which I think is what she said.
Yeah.
She knew how to saddle this horse and was able to at least ride it in his direction. I assume she was following tracks in the snow or something.
No, the horse, like, they don't establish this very well because it's after the fact. Mm-hmm. The horse was just doing what it wanted to do. She just got on the horse and let it do what it wanted to do.
Oh, okay. And then got... Okay.
And the horse
I thought she just got lost later on. Like that. But okay,
no.
So she just got lost. Fine. And she gets thrown off the horse because she's an idiot. And the horse runs away. And then a wolf shows up in the closest scene to a horror movie that we have in here, which Patrick was alluding to earlier.
It's the only time I noticed the musical score because it suddenly got loud and frightening.
Yes.
And
there was a wolf there going and getting closer and growling.
I legitimately, mildly lost my, or I had that, what do you call it?
Like a fear response?
No.
Tingling sensation?
No, what do you call it? Suspension of disbelief.
Oh, okay.
I had suspension of disbelief there for a moment where I thought legitimately there was a chance this woman could get eaten by wolves in this Christmas film. It would have been
cool.
And just have a sudden plot to share.
Yeah, and then just now everyone dealing with this tragedy and then uncovering her lies, but then having to deal with the international incident. That'd be awesome. But that's not what happened.
No.
So then the prince shows up and saves her, of course. And then he takes her back to his father's hunting cabin, which is somewhere out there. I guess
apparently they're miles from the castle.
I guess at least a couple, probably more. And they're in this cozy little cabin, and then he talks to her about his history, and then mentions that he used to date Sophia, but then see, here's the thing: she leaked details about the relationship to the press and betrayed his trust.
She was the press. She was a reporter.
Wait, Sophia was a reporter? I thought she just leaked it to the press.
No, he makes a point of saying...
I thought she said she sold the story to a tabloid.
Yeah, she wrote it. That was part of the thing, was that she's a writer.
I didn't catch that. I didn't. That's not what I thought you were saying. I thought she just wrote it up and sold it for the cash, and not that because she's a reporter, because I thought she's a duchess. That's the whole point. She even makes a comment about commoners.
She does. So I actually now want to go back and rewatch that scene because I was under the distinct impression that even though she was a duchess and was well off, that she wanted to be a reporter for fun, and that was her.
I think she just sold the tabloid, but whatever. And that's what broke up because she betrayed it. The point is she betrayed his trust to the press.
Indeed.
which is very important because what's Amber doing? Oh, that's right. She's going to betray his trust for the press. What a bitch. Anyway.
Snap.
Or will she? Because she's fallen in love.
But even before she had fallen in love, she was debating with her father about this whole thing.
The ethics of it was, giving her confusing because she would be a bad reporter.
You know what? No.
Let's be real.
Actually, that's after this. Because
You're right, that is after this.
That is totally after this.
That's after that, which he finds out because while the prince is away, she discovers a secret cache of documents in the cabin, revealing that the prince was actually adopted. You put in a gasp sound effect in there?
No. But yes, gasp, shock, awe.
Yes.
Yeah, and I thought that was really fascinating. Like, okay, let's be real here. Why is he keeping his documents?
I don't know. It doesn't really make sense after a certain point.
He used to go there alone. That was one of the things that the kid says.
I would have thought he would have burned him by now, especially after it was like clear what was going on. And I guess the prince's original name, before he was named Richard after his quote unquote father, his name was Stephen Ward, I think is what the document said.
Definitely.
And I appreciate that the prince is named Stephen.
You would.
Yeah. That's all I have to say about the prince's name.
I do want to point out one more.
Oh, and I'm sorry. One thing about the king and the prince. Both of them are named Richard, so there'd be Richard the First and Richard the Second, which means that it's King and Prince Dick.
You kept saying that
King
throughout
Dick.
the whole film.
I said King Dick a lot, and I'm going to say it more for the rest of this movie.
So there is one thing I wanted to point out about this whole scene. They had cups in the scene that I desperately...
Mugs, yeah.
Yes. And I desperately want to make some of those.
Cool.
So possibly they'll be available soon.
All right, that's great and all. Back to King Dick.
No, I like that they had the stainless steel cups. I thought those were really neat.
Mm-hmm. Oh yes, and they have their first kiss, I think, when they get back to the castle, right? Or was it in the cabin?
I think it was in the cabin.
They have a kiss, and it's very romantic. And then they come back, and then Duchess Sophia sees. Ooh, she's all upset.
And hears.
Upset that there's, a commoner wench in the bed of the prince.
People may not have good peripheral vision in Aldovia, but they have excellent hearing.
They do. So they get back, and then Sophia goes to Count Simon and more of their plan, because she is convinced, rightfully, to be fair, that Amber, or Martha, is not who she says she is. And they end up rifling through her stuff. I'm fast-forwarding a little bit, because it's not that important, except that there's a whole scene where the queen is like, "Oh, you taking this commoner to your bed, Prince Dick?" Oh.
That is not at all what happened.
That's basically what
that
happened.
is, like, in
Do
theory...
not foul the bloodline with her inferior genes.
In theory, that's what happens, but, like, that is not at all the way it goes down.
Yeah, she's what goes down.
Well, I guess we have to be non-child friendly nowadays.
Children aren't listening to your podcast.
I hope not.
There's like 3 people listening to your podcast, and I'm one of them.
Oh. This will get like 30 or 40 views.
All right, fine. Anyway. So, when they rifle through the stuff, which she has the adoption papers just laid out on her bed.
Yeah, she. Oh man,
it's so funny. And at one point earlier in the movie, the Sophia had tried to come on to the prince and tried to like kiss him, and Amber and see, and just like, oh, because no peripheral vision, even though they totally should have seen her, but whatever. Does not matter. So they find this, and Count Simon says the following line of dialogue. Well, it looks like Christmas came early. Give this writer a raise. That's great. Because it's like 2 days before Christmas, maybe the day before. It's slightly unclear, but it's just a couple days before Christmas. And he delivers that banger of a line. Amazing.
Now, what you're not telling our listening audience is the looks between the two actors was what sold the whole scene.
It really did. Because he said that with such sincerity. It was beautiful. That was actually the finest bit of acting in the entire film. It was incredible. Also, Martha is given I say Martha, but really Amber, is given a piece of Pandora jewelry.
Yes, and we can see the Pandora logo on the clasp, but it's not really made that big of a deal.
No, but it's there. I mean, they didn't really make a big deal, except, well, a couple times the Apple logos were like center frame.
The Apple logos and Mercedes logos were center frame when the products were on camera most of the time, but none of the products were used out of context.
Yes.
Nor was it brought up like, oh, I need to go on my Apple iPhone. It was just like, she needed a phone, so it's an Apple product.
And what I like about the Pandora thing is that in this universe, we have to pretend, or at least Amber, maybe she just did it for the sake of the family, pretend that it wasn't just a Pandora jewelry, that it was like some really expensive like royal jewelry.
So unfortunately we were laughing over the whole thing at that moment. I think the princess does say something special about it.
I don't know. It was like, it's from like this was from our great grandmother Queen Victoria or something. I don't know.
There was a comment made about it. And then Amber responds, "Are you sure?" or something like that. And to which the princess responds, "If they found out that I took it, they would put me in a dungeon."
Something like that.
So it has to be some sort of family heirloom of some sort.
I guess it was stolen. Security's really lax at this place, despite there being quite a lot of guards.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have anything to add.
Okay, sure. Also, excuse me.
There were quite a few funny hats.
There were some good hats. Also, Amber herself, terrible at computer safety.
Yeah, she left a Post-it note with her
password on
the computer.
Amazing. I think she could choose something else. So, we have all this going on. We now get a little thing of like, we know the plot of Sophia and Simon. They're going to usurp the throne, and she's going to marry Simon so she'll be queen of Aldovia and I guess get all of its riches. I don't know what
she doesn't seem
that is.
She doesn't seem to be after
wealth.
I think she just power.
Likes power. Well, no, I think she likes power, for sure. I mean, maybe I think it's more of getting revenge on Prince Dick for spurning her.
She's very emotionless, except for anger.
Shows anger and jealousy,
but that's about it.
Yeah,
like I said, I don't like her character.
She's not a particularly deep character, no. She's got huge tracts of land. Hence a duchess.
I forget what that reference is.
Once Python, don't worry about it.
Okay.
Anyway. Now there's a royal dance thing, which is where the whole, crescendo of all the lies is going to spin out of control. I'm just going to let you know there. But there is I called it a Hermione moment.
Yeah.
So if anyone's familiar with the fourth Harry Potter movie, there's a scene where Emma Watson walks down the stairs and it smells like jaw-dropping gorgeous. Oh, even though in the context of the movie she's like 16 and that's kind of weird, but whatever. Everyone's like, whoa, she's so pretty. So that's what's supposed to be happening with Amber. Patrick said this, and I also happen to agree that she looked better in her street clothes.
Yeah.
Part of it, I think, is I just don't like the tied back hair thing. I like the long, loose hair. I think it's much more attractive, but that's a personal preference. Yeah, and it wasn't a particularly great dress either. It was just whatever. But that was what they were going for. But she still had her tennis shoes on because she was still grounded.
I thought that was funny.
No, it's kind of all right. That's all right. That's an all right little detail. I don't fault them for that. And then Sophia says, lipstick on a pig comment.
Yeah!
Which Patrick says, Kitty has claws. And that was a very interesting tidbit there as well.
Kitty has claws is one of my favorite phrases. And I got it from the TV show Frasier, which
nobody cares about Frasier.
Longtime listeners of the podcast may realize that for the first 10 episodes, there was a Frasier reference in every episode.
Alrighty then, very well. So we get the reveal of all the lies, and the prince is very hurt, and Prince Dick has to run away, and then there's the emotional scene with I didn't mean to lie to you, just got out of control, but you're so dreaming, blah, blah, blah. And he's all like, you embarrassed me. And there's two guards just standing right there, witnessing this whole thing, who don't say anything. And they're like, and they run away. That's basically what happens. We all know how this is going to go. We all know.
One of them gives the
Mostly.
side eye. Like, it's really
He does give
obvious,
a little
like,
bit
just
of a
darts
side eye.
over.
Yeah, that was pretty funny, actually.
One thing I do like about this scene, and I thought this was really clever, if unintentionally so, that, frankly, the prince isn't really that mad at Amber. He's mostly mad at his mom and dad.
Yes, which is kind of, yeah, it is a little more interesting. Yeah,
mean,
because they lied to him about
yeah.
the adoption stuff and all this and blah, blah, blah. So then we get Amber calling her dad on the phone and talking about how all this bad stuff happened. And there's something very odd here, which I almost wanted to save for the later, but I think I'll bring it up now. The time zone here makes no sense in this scene because it's supposed to be in Europe and it's clearly like light outside, like it's the next morning. And it's light outside in New York. I don't understand what's going on. But he says some stuff to her, and she goes, wait a minute. And she turns to this book of poems that the king had wrote. And she reads this last poem that he wrote just before he died. And she realizes, oh, wait a minute. There must be a secret message in this, like, one of these homemade Christmas decorations that he made, which I think we neglected to mention earlier, but he made homemade Christmas decorations. One of the ones he gave to his wife was like a acorn, like a big acorn. And she realizes the poem is talking about the acorn. And she's like, oh! So she runs back to the castle. I guess she was at a hotel, actually, in this case.
No, she was in the airport.
She was in the airport.
She was in the airport. Continental Airport.
Continental. Oh, that's right, because we saw the United. We saw the United plane. Yes, the United Airlines makes an appearance.
Well, United Continental.
Sure, fine, whatever. Anyway, so she races back to the hotel. Now you put that idea in my head. No, I did it myself. She races back to the palace. Oh! And she's like, you gotta let me in. And then he's like, and they're like, no way, you can't come in. And she's like, I know a secret about the king put a thing into stuff to save Richard, and Richard's gonna become the king. And they're like, oh! And they let her through because Simon and Sophia have just signed their marriage certificate and are now gonna go to the ceremony to crown. The coronation ceremony to crown Simon the new king of Aldovia. And they have everyone there. The queen's there, the princess is there, the prime minister was there. It was kind of like one character who just showed up in one scene earlier in the movie. And then a bunch of I guess it's like a House of Lords?
Yes. So I wanted to say three things. One, we don't know if she stole the king's diary or not.
Yeah.
We don't know if that was a note she took from the king's diary,
Not totally sure.
Or if she just stole the king's diary. Two, no, they don't actually go to a ceremony. They make the ceremony happen around them.
Well,
they wait
sure,
for it to... Yeah.
Sure, they had to get everyone there in this chamber, this deputy chamber, whatever it is.
Thirdly, they call it like the royal quorum.
Something like that,
Something
yeah.
like that, yeah.
And this whole sequence of events reveals something else about Aldovia. That it is an absolute monarchy. That I feel like the laws were only kept in place out of like a sense of tradition, not because of any like actual thing to stop them. Because she brings the acorn, opens it to reveal a decree from the king, which did not go through any kind of parliamentary process whatsoever. It's just law that saying that he's my adopted son, but that he's really my real son by law now, so therefore he can inherit. So Richard becomes king. Sophia and Simon's plan is, ruined. It wasn't really much of a plan, honestly. It's pretty haphazard. And everyone's like, yay, good. All the deputies clap and everything. I guess they get no say in this at all.
Well,
the Queen's like, yeah, I'm going to go become a Borg now.
For some reason, everyone likes our main prince.
Lots of people talk about how he's really kind and he's going to rule from the heart. Rule over like 10 people, I guess. I don't know. There's not that much going on.
It's apparently a really wealthy country.
It's apparently a wealthy country despite it consisting of one cabin, one castle, and one airport.
And presumably a hotel. And an orphanage.
I guess. Oh, you know what? They say an inn at one point and an orphanage. Yeah. You're right. So there's at least 2 other buildings somewhere in this small thing, which I assume is in the Austrian Alps, but I can't actually confirm that.
Yeah, we had. I think we've more or less wrapped up the film. Well,
no. One last one. No. So she goes back to New York. She quits her job at Amber. She quits her job at the writing
Now
thing
Beat.
for some reason. I don't exactly know why she quit per se. She wasn't getting fired. They were just like, you screwed up the story, but whatever. You're just not getting promoted. And she's like, quit. So then she's working at her dad's diner and has a blog that was starting to take off a bit because she wrote all about her adventures with her Christmas prince. And it's New Year's now. It's been a couple weeks or a week since Christmas. A week since Christmas,
5 days.
approximately. Just say a week, Patrick. Just go with me, please.
Sorry.
It's
6 days.
been it's been some time up to the New Year's.
Indeed.
Whatever indeterminate amount of time between Christmas and New Year's is. And
Okay.
her friends show up and they're like, hey, you want to go party? Look at this cute guy we got. You two can book. And she's like, no, I'm going to stay and help my dad. You're giving me that look, but that's exactly what was happening.
Oh, because I heard you say buck.
Oh, all right. Anyway, and she's like, so she stays and she's cleaning up in the thing. And then a snowball hits the window of the diner and she looks out. And who is it?
The mailman.
He is a mailman. It's the prince. He's there. He is built like just a champion Herculean man in a coat, I guess. I'm just, in her mind, that's what he is.
I was going to say, you've come around on this guy over the last hour.
I mean, his face is still weird looking, but whatever. It's fine. And he is ready. He is raring to go. He's hot to trot. They're out in the middle of this. She goes outside instead of him coming inside. I don't know why. But it has to be, a pretty snow environment, I guess, was their thinking.
And privacy.
And privacy, I guess, which also makes no fucking sense because it's New York on New Year's Eve and there is no one on this street. And it's not like, it's not, I mean, I know it's not like, why am I forgetting the name of the famous street?
Broadway.
Times Square.
Times Square.
It's not Times Square, obviously, but there should be people here. It's New York. There's always people there. But they're out there. There's no one else there. It's very romantic. And then he says, he proposes marriage. He brings out a ring made out of tanzanite.
Yeah, at least I thought that's what it was because it was very purple.
But could be.
Later it turns blue.
Well, let's just say it's tanzanite.
Yes.
For the sake of argument. We have some reasons for that. Anyway, it fits with the rest of our theory. And it certainly looked that way at first. And of course she says yes, and so they're going to get married. And they kiss out in the snow, and her dad sees, and he's like, "Aw," and the movie ends. That wraps the plot of the movie up, and it's, pretty formulaic.
Indeed, and actually I think this is one of the best endings to a film you can have, because it is both... Stephen just doubled over.
Just finish.
So, it is both a very satisfactory conclusion, that leaves...
Well, she'll be satisfied by the end, that's for sure.
That leaves itself open to the possibility of a future film. With the possibility of a future film. And, or, you could just leave it there. If this was the only one in this series, it would have made a very nice film.
But I guess it was quite popular because they made 2 more.
Yes. And it's very good.
Now... before we completely close this out, we need to talk about Aldovia proper.
Yes.
So we've talked about the geography, and it's very small, apparently, and kind of weird and confusing. Moldovan culture, though, is a whole other weirder beast that we need to discuss. And the economy, kind of, a little bit, to a lesser extent.
We spent a large amount of the film looking for hints and clues as to where it may be.
Yeah, we were very curious. We assumed because of the name that it was somewhere in Europe, which was confirmed to be true later.
Yes.
I think it was supposed to be the building that was the deputy chamber, I think, or maybe it was the palace. I'm not actually totally sure about that. But either way, it had EU flags there, so it's Europe. It's Europe. Now, there's also Aldovian Airlines, which they mentioned in the... or it was seen in the very beginning of the movie when she first arrived. So apparently they are wealthy enough for their own airline. Figure that one out. Then there are some other things about the country that are odd. Specifically, this whole royal family thing itself, because they are all British.
Hardcore British, too.
Yes. With some slight variations on some of their accents, but they're all British. The Prime Minister was British. There are several other people that are in there was British. Duchess Sophia's British. The nobility is all British as far as we could tell. There might have been one. I think there was like one black dude in the beginning party, but he didn't have any lines. He was just in the background. I'm assuming he was one of the nobles. Maybe he wasn't. I'm not sure.
Later on, they do confirm there are a few black nobles.
Okay.
So that is
which
like a thing.
Also makes sense in context for what we think we've uncovered.
About.
A few other things. There is never an exchange of money that occurs at any point in this movie because it is, as far as I can tell, a barter economy, including for those airlines. It's a barter economy, which is weird. It has incredible fiber internet, which we mentioned briefly earlier. There's maybe 24 nobles, maybe 3 at the end of that, in that scene, the chamber scene. It's a little unclear.
Oh, so I got the impression.
Total.
I got the impression that all the people in the seating were supposed to be nobles.
That's what I'm saying. So I think there was like what 3 dozen of them, maybe.
Yeah, something like that.
Not a whole lot. Which I mean, it's a small country. I don't know where they live because it's such a tiny country.
But
I don't know where they all live because it's such a tiny country. But they're apparently there, and they own land, and assumingly peasants, because there's even Duchess Sophia calls.
For our next recording, Steven, I'll shut them off.
It's okay. Just let it go.
And I want to point out to our listening audience at home that those clocks are 18 minutes fast. But yet, almost in time with each other. I would
hope you'd cut out most of that dead air. Anyway. So I don't know what land these nobles have, but they apparently have it and have peasants. And even Duchess Sophia derisively calls Amber a peasant at one point. And I mean, she's not wrong. The queen even makes that reference to the slag commoner in his bed, but in the prince's bed, rather. Point being, this is how it is. It's an absolute monarchy. Very strange. And then everything came together when we started thinking more closely about the flag. The flag is shown in there. Now, let me describe this flag to you, and maybe someone at home will be able to figure it out. But the flag is I almost said tricolor, but that would not be the correct term. It's got 2 distinct colors in the background. It has 2 strips on the ends of green. The middle portion is white. And then it has the crest of Moldova on the front. Now, Patrick, what country's flag does this resemble greatly?
Oh, man, it just screams out Rhodesia.
It looks a lot like the Rhodesian flag. And then we started thinking, all the nobles are British. Mm-hmm. The royal family's British. Their flag looks suspicious like Rhodesia. This is a small micronation that no one's ever heard of.
There's only 2 ethnic groups, really.
There's really only 2 ethnic groups. We think, that at the end of the Bush Wars, that a cadre of, I'm assuming, rich and high-ranking members of the Rhodesian government fled to somewhere in the Alps, this small village or whatever, this castle, and started their own country. I think Moldova is really Rhodesia 2.0.
Indeed. Rhodesia 2 Electric Boogaloo.
It fits. All the clues are there that we are seeing Rhodesia reborn.
It is remarkably hilarious. And you even made the comment that the Prime Minister does kind of look like Ian Smith in a way.
He does look like Ian Smith. It's just Ian Smith. He escaped. The Rhodesians escaped and they started their own country in the Austrian Alps. And fitting it'd be in Austria. We all know what else comes from there.
It is funny, too, because
Mozart.
They're only driving. That was good. They're driving Mercedes, and I don't know. It was just really good. In terms of when I was so taken aback when they land in Moldova, and you see those flags. Someone somewhere knew what they were doing.
I don't know if they did as much as they were looking up just flags of countries that, aren't real anymore, at least. And they saw that. And they're like, well, we'll just put this crest on the thing. That'll work. And it didn't have any conception of what Rhodesia it was or represented or anything like that. Or the writer totally knew. They totally knew, and that was in the script because they're planting the clues for people to find.
And I think that would be really funny if that's the case, but I doubt it. Like, that's pretty deep
I don't know.
thinking.
Well, I guess we'll have to see how the rest of the movies shake out. Maybe we'll get more clues in the later iterations.
Well, it would be like one of the things I was mildly expecting to see, if this is like a true conspiracy, was the guards like using FALs. But they don't.
No, they just have pikes.
Yeah. There's only one gun in the film.
Yeah, the prince has it to scare away the wolf.
Yeah.
And he shoots it when it's not actually in frame, so they didn't have to pay for an effect or anything. You just put in a sound effect. But
anyway, that's our grand conspiracy that
Aldovia is really Rhodesia. It fits. The clues fit.
Indeed. Well, thank you very much. Yeah. I hope that little nugget of conspiracy at the end was worth the 60-some minutes you listened to before it. And thank you very much for joining us on this adventure into the 12 Days of Christmas.
Yes. Happy Christmas, everybody. Merry Hanukkah.
And on that note, to my dear audience,
King Dick,
see you out there.